Hello. Lately, I've been meeting someone truly warm-hearted. Where else could you find such a comforting person? I'm well aware that, as a married man, this isn't right. But I can't bear the thought of losing such a precious woman, and am struggling with how to control my feelings. I'm a father of two. I grew up as the youngest of three siblings in a family considered blessed at the time. Both of my parents graduated from four-year colleges and were prominent business figures in our community. My mother supported my father's business while raising us, ensuring we lived comfortably. We always had better school supplies and clothes compared to other kids. Due to the thriving family business, we had a housekeeper living with us since my mother couldn't manage the household work and take care of three children on her own. I ended up attending the most prestigious university in our area, where I met my wife through a student club and started dating. After landing my first job, we got married. She was my first love. I lived my life knowing only her until I made a significant mistake. Shamefully, I had an affair with another businessperson I met at a gathering. We had a son first, then a daughter, and I worked hard to raise them. I was doing well in my job, earning a decent income, and my children were growing up healthy, which made me greedy. We moved to a renowned school district, and my wife began homeschooling our children using her major. I was successful in my company, receiving raises and doing well at work. However, large corporations have an abundance of talent. Suddenly, I was faced with a notice suggesting voluntary resignation. I was at an age far from considering retirement as my last job. Around this time, a distant relative of my wife, who worked as a public servant, gave us a tip about a government project that would be a hit but required a certification. We were advised to study online and get certified. Life is unpredictable, so my wife and I both got our certifications. Then, I applied for voluntary retirement and received 3 years' worth of salary plus severance pay, which was enough to live on. For the first time, I received a business registration certificate. Although the business, being government-run, wasn't hugely profitable, it freed me from the daily overtime, competition, and exams, which was a significant advantage. Becoming a boss for the first time, I realized how much I didn't know, but by attending meetings with peers in the same industry, I started to exchange information and learn. Working together frequently meant we found ourselves on the phone several times a day discussing work. Since our offices were close by, face-to-face meetings to tackle work tasks became common. The groundwork of our friendship was laid when Sophia, who had recently started her own business, asked me for advice. I provided her with some guidance, and she was able to resolve her issue successfully. She expressed her gratitude by offering to buy me dinner, mentioning how she had been struggling alone, with no one to turn to for advice since her business was still in its infancy. My wife has always understood that my job couldn't be done alone. Despite holding a certification, she had never worked in the field herself, but I kept her updated on every detail, so she was understanding whenever I went out for drinks with other business owners in the evenings. One day, I suddenly had dinner plans and met up with Sophia. She shared how taxing and uncertain the business felt, even though it required minimal capital being a government project. I encouraged her, saying that persistence and sharing information would eventually bring good fortune. I'm not much of a drinker, but I enjoy good conversation. Sophia confided in me that her husband had been unemployed for a year, which was tough because they had growing kids and expenses were piling up. She had started the business out of necessity, but felt let down because her husband wasn't contributing to household chores or childcare. He was once hardworking, but had become disillusioned after losing his job. She lamented about the struggle of managing work, household chores, and taking care of the family's needs all by herself. Yet she tried to keep a calm front for her sensitive children. I empathized with Sophia, discussing the pressures of being a provider. Her husband was likely struggling with the lack of job opportunities and becoming increasingly irritable. I reassured her, understanding her husband's perspective and acknowledged her diligence at work. Sometimes a meal and a conversation are all it takes to alleviate stress, I told her. As the alcohol flowed, Sophia opened up even more. She mentioned how, despite any marital issues, sleeping in the same bed could bring reconciliation, but they had been sleeping separately. My wife, busy with tutoring and consulting with other parents, barely had time before she was off to sleep in our shared space. Sophia and I realized what we needed from each other in that moment of urgency, leading to a visit to my office to address what was lacking. Since then, Sophia and I have maintained a comfortable relationship. I've heard that workplaces can often be the starting point for affairs. Sophia has become like an office wife to me, a first in my life. We both understand the importance of protecting our respective families. Yet the affection remains unchanged. Sophia is 5 years my senior and occasionally calls me brother, which I know shouldn't happen, but I find it hard to resist her charm and wonder how to manage these feelings.